On Sunday, Canada joined the United Kingdom and Australia, and now France, in officially recognising the state of Palestine. The announcement made by Prime Minister Mark Carney on the eve of the United Nations General Assembly represents a profound shift in Canadian foreign policy, a move defended as necessary by Carney himself and denounced as evil by Conservative critics in Ottawa. Canada's travel advisory now lists the region as Israel and Palestine, a symbolic but significant departure from the older language of Israel, the West Bank and Gaza. On the international stage, symbolism matters. Words on a government website do not create borders or sovereignty overnight, but they shift perception, and perception is the raw material of diplomacy. Carney justified the recognition by pointing to Israel's annexationist policies, the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, and the erosion of Palestinian self-determination is necessary in our judgment, he told the Council on Foreign Relations, that we have to push on this now. In other words, Canada judged that waiting for negotiations was never come is no longer tenable. The reaction has been predictably polarised. On the one side, Palestinian activists in Toronto called it an historic day, though one noted the pain of recognition arriving only after tens of thousands of lives lost in Gaza. The National Council of Canadian Muslims hailed the decision, but warned that recognition without action risks emptiness. Heather Macpherson of the NPD made the same point bluntly: without action, there will be little left of Palestine to recognise. On the other side, Jewish advocacy groups expressed deep alarm. B'nai B'rith Canada accused the government of bowing to empty promises from the Palestinian Authority. The Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Centre warned that anti-Semitic violence in Canada could be emboldened, and Conservative MP Shuvaloy Mujamda described the move in the House of Commons as appeasement of terrorism, a betrayal, it is evil. Internationally, Israel has been uncompromising. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned recognition as an attempt to impose a terror state in the heart of our land. The United States, under Donald Trump, sided with Israel, arguing that recognition does nothing to release hostages or end the war, but Canada did not act alone. Britain, Australia, Portugal and France have joined the same chorus, with President Macron declaring that in the UN that statehood for the Palestinians is a right, not a reward. So, what are we to make of this moment? First, it's important to stress what recognition is and what it's not. It's not the creation of a Palestinian state with defined borders and functioning institutions. Canada is not drawing a map or imposing a capital. Recognition is instead a declaration that the Palestinians have a legitimate right to sovereignty and that Israel cannot indefinitely veto it. Second, recognition is conditional. Carney made clear that Canada's recognition hinges on reforms within the Palestinian Authority, new elections in 2026, and the exclusion of Hamas from any role in governance. That's not carte blanche. It's recognition coupled with demands for accountability, demilitarization, and democratic legitimacy. Third, recognition is both symbolic and practical. Symbolic because it signals to Israel that the world is losing patience with the status quo. Practical because every Western democracy that adds recognition strengthens the Palestinian case in future courts, councils, and diplomatic negotiations. As one analyst put it, this is a diplomatic earthquake precisely because it is London, Ottawa, and Canberra, not peripheral players, but central allies of Washington making the move. And finally, recognition places Canada at the centre of a global argument about peace, justice, and security. Carney insists this is not a reward for Hamas, not a punishment for Israel, it is an affirmation of human rights and international law. Yet critics fear it could inflame divisions, embolden extremists, and make peace harder to achieve. The truth is that no recognition creates peace on its own. But the refusal to recognise has also failed to produce peace. What Canada has done is to stake its position, to say that the two-state solution is not dead and that Palestinian sovereignty is not optional. History will judge whether this was the right moment, but it is undoubtedly an historic one. For Canada, it is the most consequential Middle East decision in decades. For Israel, it is a warning that even its closest friends are no longer willing to defend the indefensible. For Palestinians, it is not liberation, but it is at least the dignity of being named. Canada's recognition of Palestine may not change the facts on the ground to tomorrow, but it changes the conversation today. And sometimes in the long arc of diplomacy, that is how change begins.